I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna 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 turn it up and then I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down.
Hello people, how are we doing? I hope everyone is good. After the protests on Sunday, I'm sure there's a lot of people in a good mood because protests, in my opinion, went very well. Met a lot of people out there. It was good to actually meet people from YouTube instead of just talk to them on YouTube. I must admit, it is very different when you meet the people to just talking to them in the chat or talking to them face to face on YouTube, whatever. It's a different feeling. I had a good day. Not going to go through everyone that I met because I'll probably miss out some names on there because I met a hell of a lot of people on Sunday. Went for the meal after and everything. Finally got home, and I won't deny it, I was absolutely shattered. So the following day, just spent most of the day, chill it out. Actually had to watch the game, seeing as we only managed to get to watch the first half sitting in the pub, and that was on my phone as well, so we couldn't really see it that well either. But we got the result. 3-1's 3-1. Southampton, yes, nothing to preach about, nothing to exactly be happy about. Probably coming up to be one of the worst teams the Premier League has ever seen. And but 3-1 is 3-1. And it is the result I think we needed, definitely, before this Europa game coming up. This Europa game coming up is, I think some could quite easily say, most important game of the season now. And this is the one Ange's going to be concentrating on. I mean, after being, the way he's been, giving it the ear to the fans, switching on the press, going right into one, stating how he's been pushed into this corner. I mean, seriously, does anyone else on here who's watching this or watch this later really actually think that Ange has been pushed into a corner? For me, no. He's pushed himself in the corner. He's done himself absolutely no favours. That you can see he's getting more and more agitated. The more people tell him, like, look, something's not working here properly. Aren't you thinking of changing something? And he just seems to be getting more agitated. So he just claims he's getting pushed into the corner to say the things they want him to say. I just personally think Ange's got himself into that predicament. I personally think he knows his days are numbered, because unless he wins that Europa, for me, he's done and dusted. I know there's people on here who still think he's going to be here. That for some strange reason, Daniel Levy's going to keep hold of him. I personally think his days are done and dusted. And let's hope that is true, because he is not the manager we need. He is not a good manager. His tactics are atrocious. And the list can go on and on and on. But the one thing I've got to agree with him with is when he does rattle on about the VAR. I mean, that Bergvall goal, I mean, we sat there for, it must have been, what, easy between 5 to 8 minutes, whatever, waiting to see whether it was a goal or not. I mean, why is it in Italy, in Spain, in the international games, everything else, this VAR shit gets sorted out like that? 2 minutes most usually, and done and dusted. And even that's a long one. Yeah, us in the Premier League, meant to be the biggest league in the world, and it is, and it's definitely got the most money in it. Why is it we're the ones who take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to decide whether the goal was a goal? I mean, for me, if it takes more than 2-3 minutes, then there's obviously a big question to it. You should just let it go and it should be a goal. Yeah, I know there's going to be times that won't work with you. There's going to be times that'll work with you and without you. But I agree with what Ange is saying here. He's killing this game. It's doing it. This VAR is bollocks. I don't like it. And on that one, I have to agree with Ange. You sit there, you score the goal, everyone goes up, and then within a minute, you're looking up, you're looking round, then you're looking at your watch, then you're talking to your mate, then you might as well go and order another fucking beer because they're still piss balling about with the VAR, and you just don't know whether you're coming or going. And one way or another, they've got to sort that VAR. I mean, for me, Bergvall's goal, it looked like a goal. If it wasn't, he missed it out by what, a fingernail basically, and that is just how deep it's getting on there. And yeah, I agree with him there. It is destroying the game. I mean, with the game itself, from what I saw of it, first half, yeah, we had control of that. Second half, I mean, I don't know what other people think, but personally, from what I watched on that on the following day, I think Southampton for about 30 to 40 minutes of that game looked like they took total control of us in the second half. I think they did. I mean, some say you've just been negative for the fun of it. I'm not. In the second half, it looked like they had they definitely was running the game. I mean, the result 3-1, can't complain. Only went to that basically because we got the 96-minute penalty. Was it 96, 98, whatever it was, where Tell managed to score one. Johnson, again, I mean, the comical side of the Johnson bit is I was sitting there and said, like, Johnson, I just don't rate him. I don't rate him as a player overall. And then he goes and bangs the goal straight in the back of the net. And he does score his tap-ins on the side. He has been useful this season. Because, I mean, for me as a player, apart from his tap-ins, I think he's useless. He does nothing on the pitch. But when it comes to the point of that he scored now, 16 goals this season? That's got to mean he's been useful in one way or another. Because without these 16 goals, we would have been in trouble. And from what the stats say and everything, on his 13th, on the 13th minute and the 42nd minute, getting his 15th and 16th goal, he's the only other player apart from Kane, Son, and Bale to get more than 15 goals in a season, like since Premier League started, from what I read up. So you could say he's got to be doing something right, but I'm sorry, I just can't rate the player. I just don't rate him. Overall, apart from his tap-ins, which are important for games, he just does nothing else for me on the pitch. He disappears. I don't rate the player. I know some people do, but each their own, whatever turns you on at the end of the day. It definitely ain't that one. I mean, the fact that he left Van der Ven out and Udogie, I think it was a wise move leaving Van der Ven out, because I've debated this with a few people now. I mean, for me, the league is done and dusted. It's done. Best we're going to do is finish, 12th? Yeah, people say play for your pride. You got to want to win every game, momentum and that. I get all that. But the important games for us now are the Europa game. I mean, if you're even looking at it from Angie's point of view, you're going to be looking at that and thinking, well, is 12th place going to rescue my career? No. Is winning the Europa Cup going to possibly rescue my career at Spurs? Possibly. Because if he does win that Europa Cup, ideally, I would say thank you and goodbye. But on another side, you can say he's earned himself another 6 months, really. I mean, look at Di Matteo. When he got the Champions League, he got the sack about, 4 months later. I think that's what we'd see with Ange if we won the Europa. Will we, won't we? I don't think we will. A lot of people don't think we will. But no one can say it's impossible. It can happen. And what a Spurs season that would be if we ended up finished 16th, 17th, 15th, whatever, and then go and win the Europa League and get into the Champions League. That would have to be one of the most messed up things I've probably seen in football. So hopefully we got a full team fit for against Frankfurt. That is not going to be an easy game. Pardon me. I mean, they're not on great form at the moment, but then you can't say we're on great form at the moment. And I think we need to get at least a 2-goal lead against Frankfurt to then be able to take it to their ground. And then that is what we see is, can Ange actually do something? I mean, if we get a 2-goal lead, I'm not saying we go there and just go to an out-and-out defence, but we go there and don't just go out-and-out gung-ho football. But when have we seen Ange do otherwise? So for me, we definitely need to get this 2-0, 3-0, basically to stand a chance against Frankfurt at their ground. Because I think it is going to be a very hard game at their ground. I think we can definitely do them at home. But it's the away game I am not looking forward to on this one. But we've got a full team by the look of it. A couple of players look slightly better against Southampton. I mean, for me, Romero had a good game. Again, people can say it's only against Southampton. One of the most up and down players we got, but he had quite a solid game. Johnson, obviously 2 goals in the back of the net. Spence, for me, he looks all right. I wouldn't say he looked brilliant, but he looks all right. And then going through the other players, I mean, Maddison, respectable game. Bentancur, here and there. Davis, just done what Davis does. Porro even looked like he had a respectable game to me. And Vicario, as usual, he does his job. Very good goalkeeper for me. I don't think he's quite as great as others say, but very good goalkeeper for me. And out of choice, I'd say he's probably the third best shot stopper, not overall goalkeeper, but third best shot stopper in the Premier League. That's my opinion. But here we go. So I'm going to say hello to a couple of people. And Phil P, good to meet you on Sunday. Dan, good to meet you as well, mate. Lively as ever. Like I said, very different meeting the people to actually speaking to the people on chat or even just speaking face to face on camera. Very, very different. and was good to meet you. And David R, evening Dan, evening to you too, mate. Hope everything's good. Hope everything's going well at home. And Angus, big up Dan. Hope you're well. Big up to you, mate. Hope everything's good. Rob, big up Dan in the chat. Big up to you. And Angus also saying hello to hello to Matt. And so Hulk Hogan wannabe. I don't know who that one's aimed at, mate. I mean, wrestling, cool. If you want to go into that one, I haven't watched that one for a long time. But if I had to pick a wrestler that I used to like when I was a kid, it had to be The Undertaker. He was the best one on there. And Brian, Dan, nice meeting you at the protest. Same with you, mate. And Amari, we get in deep philosophy today. That's what we are here for. Not today, mate. Maybe another day, but not today. I can't be bothered with that today. We'll see how the next game goes before it goes to that one. And Tony, big up Dan in the chat. Spurs Eintracht Frankfurt 1-3 and out. I think we'll get that one. 2-0, 2-1, I think is the result we will get for that one. And Angus also saying, Tony, big up, mate, and same as Rob. And Rob saying BJ's positioning is his only good attribute. That bit is what I will agree with. But if that is basically what he's being told to do, then he's doing his job, isn't he? And he has scored 16 goals this season. So I can sit here and slate him as a player as much as I want, and so can others. Because for me, he's incapable in a lot of ways with his crossing, with his passing, with taking a man on, trying to get round a man. He's meant to be fast, but he can't even knock it past the player and run past him. There is so much I say this player can't do, but he does seem to get into those little positions to then put them in the back of the net. And I suppose that's what counts at the end of the day when we haven't got no one else doing it. I mean, for me, Solanke in that game, look, if I say dead again, maybe I'm going a bit too harsh on him, but I'm just really seeing nothing special out of Solanke. I mean, he scored, 7 goals this season? And the other thing is when it comes down to Solanke, I'm still struggling to see why Ange has said he wanted him so much. Because he had the best season of his career last season. And Ange must have been sitting there. All the scouts, whoever does it for him, but Ange blatantly said, that is the man I wanted. Seeing how he plays, scoring the goals, everything else, because he did have a good season last season. And then brings him over to Tottenham. And then just plays him in a total different manner. That's the part I don't understand. Why watch a player and see what he's really good at and see him have a very good season, and then bring him over to your club to do something totally, totally different? I mean, for me, that makes no sense. I mean, if someone can put the sense into it for me, please do. But for me, that one, it just makes no sense at all. And I just don't think we've seen anything great out of him. Some say he's very good at holding the ball. I think he gets knocked off the ball a bit too easy. I think the other thing you can put with him, does anyone up front for us really get the service they can get? When it gets to the point that Maddison's even coming down to our own goal line, basically, to try and get the ball, I think that just about says everything. He doesn't get many decent passes to him up there. But still, even when he gets the ball, I don't think he holds it that well. I don't think his passing's too great. I just don't see why Ange went for Solanke and doesn't play him to what he was good at. But I suppose that's Ange all over for you. It just makes no sense. And Eugene, big up Dan, big up to you too, mate. Hope everything's good. And Tot Spurs, big up Dan and everyone else. Big up to you too. And the 2 Mark Show Cookie, big up Dan. It was good to see you the other day, mate, at the protests. And Angus saying, Angie's record in Europe is shocking. You ain't winning the Europa League. Nope, I agree. Angie's record in Europe is just as shocking as Arsenal's. I mean, one thing I can say, mate, if Angus, if you really want to make a comment like that, it's very true. but your record in Europe has got to be the most embarrassing record in Europe out of any European team in Europe, hasn't it? I mean, the size of your club, the amount you have won, the amount of times you've been in the Champions League. What was it, 23, 24 times straight on, and you reach one final, and you have a worse European record than we do. As Spurs have actually won more European trophies than Arsenal. So one thing you can definitely say is Angie's European record is shocking. But Arsenal's is as shocking as it gets. That's just my opinion on that one. I mean, that's one thing that definitely holds them back. And Brian, my concern is the fact that we hardly keep a clean sheet. I agree, mate. We hardly do. I mean, the other joke one I think of it is when you see a few people out there go on that we're only losing games by 1 goal. Great. Conceding only 1 goal, fine. But the fact that we're losing the games, or we've lost so many games by just 1 goal, and then we haven't had the capability in the rest of the game to get that 1 goal back. It says a lot for me. Now, if we were losing games 3-1, 4-1 all the time, 3-0, 2-0, okay, even 2-1. But we lost the majority of our games at 1-0, and it shows we haven't got the capability to get that 1 goal back. I mean, for me, I know that's twisted it round, but for me, that just looks really bad. Losing a significant amount of games by 1 goal and you cannot get that 1 goal back. It says a lot for me. And 2 marks, big up, Dan. Hope you're good, mate. Hope you're good as well. And Angus, I disagree with that. Okay, fair enough. I mean, what point was that? Because I'm a bit behind on the chat. And Angus saying big up to the Sheriff, bit stone cold. And 2 marks saying, I'm more worried about the midfield donut then. Yeah, we're all over the place. Our midfield, it just does. You can say it about the whole team, really. It just doesn't look. No one is really playing to what they are best at. But that midfield, they seem to be everywhere but nowhere. They are not where it matters. And in midfield, we get run down every game without fail. And Angus saying Andrew's ear cuffing. Yep, definitely did the fella no favours, did it? Definitely didn't. And 2 marks saying big up Sheriff, and people saying big up to Angus. And was going to meet you Sunday, albeit briefly. And two Mark saying Cockmeister, big bruv. And Brian, great show, Dan. Thanks a lot, mate. Much appreciated. Angus saying Mikel Mourinho, what is 1 goal behind Solanke, tells you everything you need to know. I agree, mate. I mean, 7 or 8 goals he scored. I think it's 7. That is not good enough for a £65 million striker. 65 million we go and do on our striker, and he gets us 6, 7, 8 goals in the season. That's not good enough. I mean, for me, that's not even good enough for a striker that cost you 10 million. There's something definitely not right there, isn't it? And Mark saying big up to Angus, and Angus now saying, how many did you have at the protest on Sunday? I mean, at first, when I spoke to people there, I personally thought the protest actually looked smaller than the first one. But then speaking to people after, and then later on looking at the videos, I think there was more there. Maybe not the number I thought would be there, but there was definitely more there. It was loud. There was a lot of people going down the street with the banners. It was definitely getting heard. When I watched the first half through my phone in the pub with a couple of others and that, they were talking about it on Peacock TV in America. I don't know what they spoke about on Sky Sports, but they definitely brought it up on Talk Sports. So the word is definitely getting about now that a few Spurs fans, a few thousand, are getting very pissed off with Daniel Levy and definitely want him out of the club. I know there's some saying that they'd still be quite happy to keep him at the club if he changed his way. That's not going to happen. We need ENIC out of this club to get somewhere. Will that happen anytime in the future? Will anything change? Who knows? Only time will tell. But for me, I think these protests are good. It's starting to show the Spurs supporters actually getting together for once and actually fighting for something they want. Something that other clubs would have already been doing 5, 10 years ago. And other clubs have done and got what they wanted out of it. Will we get Daniel Levy out? Again, only time will tell. A lot say he will only sell up when he's ready. Others do actually say that rattle him enough and he might change his ways. Again, for me, it's only time will tell. But the protests are still good. I think the next protest that will get set up, I think it'll be bigger than this one. Even if it only keeps going up by 100 people or 150 people, it shows that there's progress. We can't expect one of the protests to be 2,000 people, then 2,500 people, and then all of a sudden go up to 5,000, 10,000 people. That's not going to happen, especially at Tottenham. But I would say the protests were positive. There was definitely a very positive side to the protest. And Spurs rule, Langer's not got one decent signing. Bergvall is nowhere near top 4 quality. And Gray is crap. Solanke and Gray are definitely Levy buys, though, including Odegaard. Well, Solanke, I can see that being an Ange buy, same as Johnson would, because he spoke about Johnson when he was at Celtic, if I remember right, from what a few people said. And I think he could be one that Ange picked, but then we all know how Levy works as well. You say Gray is crap. I mean, this is one debate that seems to keep coming up again and again and again. And we all know how much Lubo Ian loves Archie Gray. And for me, I don't think he's crap. And I don't think he's a crap buy. I just think he's a buy we shouldn't have made, because we should have gone for a 30, 40 million pound player that we could get into that first team, that would actually get into that midfield. This is the thing that bugs me with the Archie Gray one. We actually got him and we don't even play him in midfield. I think he's played, 60, 80 minutes maybe altogether in a midfield position. We've played him as right back and centre back. And when he has played right back and centre back, you can't take it away from him. He's done a respectable job. I don't think he stood out. I don't think he's been special, but he will get that bit of excess, how do you want to put it, appreciation and noticed, because a centre back is not his position, and he's only a young fella as well. So I don't think Gray's been a crap signing, and I think he will be good for the future, but I don't think he is the signing we needed. Same as Tell. Tell is not what we needed. Again, for me, I think we'd have been better off trying to get a player on loan who's 31, 32. You know, like a Perisic player. I know we had him and he's already gone, but like someone like him, someone like what we did with Davids, someone who's got experience, someone who can come into that and level up that midfield a bit, or level up that team a bit, who has got the experience, been there, done it, got the storybook on everything. And just to say hello now, Mike, how are we doing,
Big up, mate? Long time no see. Yeah, I'm fine. Was a bit sick last few days, but other than that, everything good. I got myself a job finally, landed one, which means
what are you doing?
Basically I'm something. It's called how should I put it in English? I think it's called collect. Basically, I work in accountants collections, right? So
Okay.
I work in front of the PC. I work for Parker, the guys that make pens, although they no longer make pens and pencils and all that stuff, right? But yeah, basically I work in like finances. I monitor whether the clients pay the money to Parker for for orders and stuff, and I contact the clients, asking and finding out why they didn't pay, why they did pay, are they going to be late, are they not, and all that stuff, right? It's kind of hard for me to explain in English, right? Because like the job description is in Polish, so I kind of had to translate it on the fly, right? But yeah, basically that's it, right? I couldn't find a job in IT because like IT market right now in Poland is effed. Like I've had plenty of jobs where they were hiring like 5 people and there were 1,500 applicants. So just to get into that was a literal nightmare. So I decided to go like into a different branch. I had a friend of mine recommend me for the job. That's why I landed it. So I just decided, it's better to have money than to not, right?
Well, without a doubt, one way or another, it's always better to have the money, and sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do. But fair play on you, mate. Well done for getting the job.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I'll go back to then the game with Southampton. I mean, I take it you watched it.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
What did you make of it?
Honestly, not much. Like, I think this was just one of the most useless games of Premier League I have ever watched, because like it doesn't change anything for us. And Southampton were relegated. Even if they won against us, they would get relegated next week, right?
So, they was done and dusted.
Yeah. The only thing that changed is the fact that they set the record of being relegated the earliest ever, right? After 31 game weeks, which is shambolic within itself, right? But yeah, overall with the game, I felt like in the first half we played okay. It wasn't like I'm not going to go overboard with it because it was Southampton, right? It is literally one of the worst teams to ever play in the Premier League. So I'm not going to rave about us being 2-0 up at halftime. We damn well should be, and we were. And in the second half, we completely backed off. We gave them the ball. It was a bit like sad watching them have as much of a ball and attempting as many shots as they did. But honestly, do I care? Not really. I knew that we are not going to lose the match as much as, we want to batter around and say, oh, Southampton might beat us. They are not that good. Like, they are seriously bad, right? Even that bad that I had confidence of beating them as a Spurs fan. Not 100% confidence because it's Spurs, right? But
you're always looking over your shoulder, aren't you?
Yeah, always having the Spurs gene in mind, right? But nevertheless, like it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really change anything in the Premier League, because like, do I care whether we are 16th or 13th? Not really, right?
It's irrelevant to me.
Yeah, for me, the only game that matters is Thursday, right? That's the way I look at it.
I agree.
Again, I don't give us much chance of winning the Europa, but it's still, the game for me matters, right? Because it's the only place where we can actually do something fun, right? And something good for us.
I mean, question I'll give you. I mean, I spoke to him, and we've all spoke about it many a time, and I pretty much know your answer to this one. But on the other side of it, Johnson. Yeah. Now, we all know, I think people know what a majority of us actually think of Johnson. And then there's actually a fair few out there who actually like him.
Yeah.
Like I've said in here, like I've said to you quite a few times, I don't rate him as a player.
Yeah.
But that's now 16 goals he's got this season. And apart from Kane, Son and Bale, he's one of the only ones that have pulled that off in a season. I mean, surely he deserves some credit, doesn't he?
Yeah, listen, it's so strange, right? Because I was watching, by the way, I was watching the game with a friend of mine who is a Real Madrid supporter, right? And obviously, like, he doesn't rate Johnson for, as I said, for obvious reasons, right? He has fucking Vini, Mbappe, and Rodrigo as his front line, right? But we are talking about Johnson, right? And I was saying to him that I think he's shit. I think he's this and that. Like, I don't rate him. He doesn't do anything. Like, he doesn't press. He doesn't, pass and whatever, right? But he looked at me and he was like, yeah, I agree with you. But he scored 16 goals, right? Like, who else in your team scored 16 goals? And I said, no one, right? Which is true. Like, no one has
65 million striker has banged in 7.
Yeah,
or 8. Is it 7,
exactly
8,
right.
something like that?
I think it's 7, right? Exactly right. So I was like, you kind of have a point. I get your point, right? Someone has to tap the goal in, and he's doing that. So for that, I'm going to give him credit, the same as you, right? I think we are the same in this regard, right? If we think you deserve the credit, we will give the credit, right? But I will give criticism where I think criticism is deserved. So
exactly that.
yeah. So the way I look at Johnson, right? Would I want him here next season? Probably not. Is he the guy scoring the most goals this season? Yes, he is, right? It's no one else. Like I guess the argument you could make is if we had a more creative right-sided winger and we allowed Son to be the tap-in merchant, would Son have more goals if the wings were reversed, basically, right? Because right now I feel like our left side works a lot to allow the right side to score, if you get what I mean, right? I think most of the creativity comes from like Maddison, Son, that area, and Johnson is the one tapping it in. I wonder what would happen if we had a creative right side and Son was the one tapping in, right? Because I know it's a hypothetical, but yeah, that's something that I'm thinking about recently, right? Is like he's doing his job, basically. I think we kind of molded the team around allowing him to score the goals because I don't think he has much of a use other than scoring the goals. So in a way, we kind of prop up the best side of him. Let's call it that way, right?
I mean, I don't think he's even being played in his best position. I mean, exactly what a couple of Nottingham Forest fans have said. But do you know what? For me, with what he's done this season, I'm going to back down on myself a little bit and say I wouldn't actually say no to keeping him as a squad player.
I
mean, obviously, if we get an offer of 20-25 mil for him, baked potato, see you later, mate. He's gone for me. But I wouldn't actually say no to actually keeping him as a squad player, because whether we rate him or not, like we've said, 16 goals is 16 goals.
Yeah.
And without those 16 goals, where would we actually be? So I'm one to give credit where credit is due, and I'll grill them where it's due. And there's a lot more to grill about Spurs than there is to give them credit. But I'm starting to honestly think, as a squad player, I don't think I would say no to him as such. Obviously, if we could get rid of about 8 or 9 players and get in 10 better players, I totally agree with it. But I don't think he's a bad option as a squad player for the amount of tap-ins he's got.
Dan, what are you doing?
Go on,
Dan, what are you doing,
how you doing, mate?
Why are you doing that for, Dan? Dan, please. Honestly, I think you're thinking too much, mate. I think you need a little bit of sun, a little bit of beach, a little bit of sunshine, because you're thinking too much, bro. The fact that you said squad player says it all for me. Says it all for me. What do I say about squad players? I don't like backups. I don't do backups. You have to have
24 players. You have 24 in a team.
Yeah. But 24 players that can compete.
Then
24 players that can compete, because we want 24 players that are going to be backups. Let's get back Timo Werner that we're going to send back on loan back to RB Leipzig with his tail between his legs. Yeah,
no, because he only scores 3.
Exactly. Well, but you see where I'm going with this. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I totally agree. But we are.
Listen. Okay, we could talk about
option, Alex. Straight. Do you think he's a bad option to have on the bench to bring on with 20 minutes to go?
No, because I don't want someone that is happy to be sitting on the bench. I don't want him sitting on the bench. I want somebody that's going to want to compete. I want him to compete. If he's not improving, because then we can have the same argument for Dele Alli then. Dele Alli had a couple of good years, and then look what happened to him. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. This is where the manager. I do apologise to people that are watching me again, because I'm repeating myself again. Sorry, rinse and repeat again. Tottenham fans again. Sorry about this, but this is what we do.
We do, mate. We all do
this is what we have to do, because this is what we have to do every single time. So apologies. standby. Like again, like you know, we can't. You know, the manager needs to improve. He needs to evolve. You know what I mean? He needs to evolve. And if he's not evolving, you know, what we're gonna do? You know what I mean? We're gonna say the same thing about Kulusevski, that only have 5 minutes. Bentancur. And by the way, this is on the manager, by the way, because the thing is though, every single time I see this, I hear him go to internationals, right? Going to his international country, right? I always hear he's having a good game. Same with Basuma, same with Tell, same with Kulusevski. So a lot of this is on the manager. Again, sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I'm sorry.
That's without saying, Alex. We all know this manager is absolute shit.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm apologising for repeating myself again. But I'm just saying, we can't. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is we can't do this with Johnson. Johnson can score goals, cool. But you know, it was against Southampton. There was some good goals, yeah, cool. But we need to see a little bit more.
It's a game we should be winning. No two ways about.
And I don't think the manager's doing. I don't think the manager's doing him any disservice. Doing this a lot of disservice though, because he should be up front with a Solanke so he can score goals, right? If you, I mean, would you
That's
put the
where I
fun?
think you'd see the best out of him with an old school, with an old school thing of like Owen and Heskey sort of thing. Not am I saying he's anywhere near as good, but that sort of type of play you're basically saying, where he's got the big man on the side of him with the little man there, sort of thing. Like the way they used to do it a lot.
But I didn't want to interrupt your conversation with Mikel. So big up, Mikel. Yeah, I mean, so I didn't want to look like I'm taking your thunder a little bit. You know what I mean? But you know, big up to you, Bob. Anyway, but you know, it's a joke, Mikel. It's a joke, Mikel. You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm joking about. It's silly season now. You know what I mean? We've only got one game. We've only got one game to really be bothered about, isn't it? You know what I mean? This Europa League, anyway. But moving on. So back to the subject in hand. Back to the subject.
Right, hang on a sec, Alex. I just want to say a big thanks to Tony for becoming a member. Much appreciated, mate. And Mark, let me start again. The two Mark Show Cookie, member for 5 months. Keep up the good work, Dan. Much appreciated, mate. You're always on there, same as Tony, same as a lot of the others. I mean, with what I've said, Alex, I don't feel I'm going back on myself a little bit because I've said I want him out of the club. But again, I know what you say with squad players. I don't want squad players as such. I want a player that is fighting for that first team place. But if we're going to be realistic here, yeah, name me a team, bar maybe Man City or even Man City, that has got 24-25 in that squad, which is what you have, that are all more than capable of taking a place in that first 11.
You've got a good point, but when you look at the Newcastle team, you know that guy that scored the goal against against Leicester City. What is his name? It just escaped me. Right?
It just said new member, mate. That's all. Sorry, hang on a second, Alex. It just said new member on there, mate. That's all. 9 months. Cheers, mate. It's appreciated. It's just where it said new member on there. It's much appreciated. You're always on here, Tony. Top fella. And I do like the stuff you put on Facebook as well. It pisses off a lot of people, so it makes me laugh. Anyway, go on, Alex. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, but I'm just saying. Another guy that came that scored the goal against Newcastle against Leicester City. I forgot his name now. He's really in good form for Newcastle, and he wasn't a first team player, definitely.
Murphy.
Yeah, Murphy. I'm not saying that you need a player that is, you know, going to straight away compete, but someone that's looking to compete. You see what I'm saying? And get better, to look at that a player that's ahead of him and say, well, if you're not playing well, mate, I'm going to take your place. It's like, for instance, when Martinelli was not really on form and Trossard was scoring goals whenever he was coming on. That's trying to make you feel, you know, push for your place. You know what I mean? That's what we need. That's what we need. Players that are going to look into compete to try and do it, like Spencer's done this season, right? Again, I do think people are going a bit over TT about him. I've got to be honest, but that's a good example of him showing, you know, Adoji saying, "Sorry, mate, but you're not getting back into the team right now because I've taken your place."
That's
mate.
What you want. You want it to be like a team like Man City was, I wouldn't say so much at this moment in time, but something where the player, whatever position he's in, let's just say a left winger makes 2 or 3 attempts to do a cross and totally cocks it up every time, all 3 of them. He now looks over his shoulder and says, shit, I've now lost my place for the next 3-4 games because he's got someone breathing on his shoulder. That is what you want. But like I said to you, Alex, how many teams have actually got that? Name me more.
Well, that's where the problem is in football. That's the problem is in football then.
Is 24, 25 players.
Yeah, but that's where the problem is. That's where the problem is. Players have got to want it a little bit more then. You know what I mean? And then the coaches have got to look to improve those players to say, well, okay, if that player's not playing well, if you're evolving and taking your chance, you will get your chance. You know what I mean? And then you can take that place. You know what I mean? So that's just really in football. But I know what you're talking about, Dan. I'm just saying at the moment, this is where the excuses come this season. Then you know what I mean? When we had injuries, right? Look what happened. You have to go into your squad, don't you? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you need to take your opportunity. You know what I mean? Because opportunities are only scarce. They're only scarce. You might have a little part. It's like if
You
you're
might only get one opportunity as such.
yeah, it's like for instance, sometimes in wrestling there's like storylines, right? You might get that little moment, but that little moment might trigger loads of views. You know what I mean? And then it might do another one.
Basically, you're saying like what Eminem always said: you might only get one chance at this, or you got to take your chance.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's like me,
Question then with what you're saying, I think it's a good question here that Angus has put on here. This is why I've kept it on the screen. Is Spence actually a good fullback, or just a standout in a crap team, or is he what you're saying, a man who actually took his chance? I mean, I'll go to Mike first on that. Mike, what do you reckon on that? Do you reckon he's actually a good fullback, or is he standing out in a shit team at the moment? Or, like Alex says that players should do you think he's actually someone who took his chance because he hasn't had many?
I think it's.
Question.
Yeah. I know it's a bit of a cop-out answer, right? But I think it's a bit of all three, because the way I look at it, right? Overall, I don't think he's that much better, or even better at all, than Spence and Udogie when you look at the player overall, right? When I look at the skill set, right? But I think he suits the role that we put on him much better, right? So with the way we play with a back four or back two, as we call it, right? Between ourselves, right? But I think Spence suits that role much better. I think he's a better defender than Porro and Udogie, and I don't think he is as good as Porro when it comes to going forward, for example. I think Porro is better. I think Porro's delivery is better. I think he's passing, he's shooting. I think Porro in the front three does better, right? But Spence does much better when it comes to defending, which you need to be a great defender to play in a back four, especially when you are tasked with going as much forward as you are with this system. Yeah, exactly, right? So that lends to a point that I think he's a better fullback, and I'm going to use the word fullback, right? Because I think Porro and Udogie are wing backs. I think you could use them as a back five players, basically as wing backs. That is what
they always played as. Basically, that's how he played in Italy.
That's what they always played as, right? Yeah. And also, like Spence also played as a wing back. I think he would be a really good wing back, right? But I think if we played with wing backs, I think Porro and Udogie could shine a bit more compared to Spence. But I think Spence is a better fullback than them, right? So it kind of lands to what Angus said, right? But I also think it's what Alex says. I think he sees the opportunity because, like, Udogie was injured and Porro was dropping stinkers. So, like, there was a place to nail, and I think Spence used his utmost ability to nail a spot. And right now he's not droppable because he's playing at least as good as Udogie and Porro can, or sometimes even better, right? So I guess it's a bit of it's a mixture of different things, right? He sees the opportunity, he had the character about him to actually use the opportunity. But I also think he suits the system a bit more, which I focus on the word fullback that Angus used, right? Because I think that Porro and Udogie are wingbacks. So yeah, that's the way I look at it.
No, I can agree with what you said, Alex.
I think he's taken his opportunity. I think that stint he had in Italy helped him a lot as well. Matured him a little bit. But I don't think he's as good. I think he's as good as what I think he's good because at the moment a lot of our fullbacks are not playing well at the moment. I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
The level's not great as well. So that's why I'm not going over the top because again, I think I remember Gareth Bell when he came into the team. And I think Esse Okoto was injured, and then he I think it was either Crunchyar or I think it was Esse Okoto was injured. Then he went up a level the next season after that. You see what I'm saying? And this is where I think Spence. We need to see what happens with Spence next season now. You know what I mean? Adoji had that moment last season. You know what I mean? A little bit. Even though I didn't think it was that. It was all right. It was good. You know what I mean? But I don't think it was as great as what people thought. But this was the moment where, unfortunately, Adoji got injured, didn't he? But this season would have been the moment where he needs to kick on this season. You know what I mean? Because I said this last season when he was when he had this good season. I said it was all right season. I said, well, let's see if he kicks on next season because this is going to be very more important. People are going to know about him more. You know what I mean? Same with Porro. Now this season, he's had a bit of a breakthrough, Spence. Now, okay, let's see what you do next season to kick on. Now, you know what I mean? Whether he is here next season, that's another question as well. Because I question that right now at the moment because I don't think it's a sold-on thing. He's going to be here next season. I don't know if he'll be here next season. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's a lot of things, but for me, he's just I think he's been good because the others have not been that great. But I think that's also on him as well. That's what I would say to the answer. I would say.
No, I can go with that. And just before I say hello to you, Mark, Beth E, my wife, evening to you. Love you a lot, and just want to show everyone I don't have to sit in the fucking kitchen anymore. I don't have to use an iPad anymore, which I have been lately, which has actually been quite annoying sitting on the bed with a fucking iPad. This is what my wife made for me, basically, in our other room. She done all of it. She done the wallpapering, done the underlay on it, and she made that into my little man cave room that I can actually sit in here and now
Mate, that's a lovely Witcher statue, by the way.
What one?
The one near the laptop.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And just before the others asked, the other two are Assassin's Creed. Yes, I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to games. I love my games. I mean, but with other ones, I've got my little. This is where the geek side of me comes into it. What people say, it's like I like my little men as well. Them ones. Anyone who knows that's Johnny Silverhand. And the other one I've always got to have next to me is the Joker because I just think he's a quality character. But again, I'll show it once more. My wife done all of that for me. Got a nice 76-inch TV next to me that I can watch football on the side while talking on here. I can actually not have to sit in the fucking kitchen. She can go in the kitchen without tapping on the door a little bit now. Because just a quick one, when it comes to DIY at this place,
done. I have mine.
What
too.
one's that?
It's
that's
the
Witcher, one out the.
Yeah, but that's the one from the Netflix
the program, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to DIY here, I won't deny it. I am fucking useless. If it came to painting a wall, I would end up with more paint on the fucking floor than I would on the wall. I am absolutely useless at DIY. I might as well have two left hands with thumbs and no fingers. I am absolutely shocking. Yet my wife is actually really good at DIY. I'm the one who deals with the money and the electrics and stuff like that. We both know what we're good at. We both know what we're bad at. That is why we work so well as a team and been together 11 years. And even if it came to putting this desk together, one way or another, I would have fucked it up and it would probably fallen on the floor by now.
Bits left over.
Exactly.
There's always bits left over.
Because where I went to the protest, I got barred from coming into this room basically, and I was told I had to stay in the other room and that because we're sorting out the rest of the place where we just got a new dog as well, lovely Rottweiler. And yeah, walked in there, and I must admit, I'm a happy man. I actually have a decent place to actually do my YouTubing now. And yeah, when it comes to that, the wife is the one that does the DIY, and she does a brilliant job at it. That's why when something's broken, it's like, okay, your job, stay out of it. When it's getting the deals, dealing with the money, dealing with the electrics and everything, she stays out of it, and that one's my job. That is how you work well as a team. Anyway, Mark, how are we doing?
All right, man. You? Great to meet you Saturday, obviously.
Yeah,
Sunday.
same. So question was something that Angus said. Is Spence a good player, or is he just looking good in a shit team, basically? Or to add on to it, do you think he's done what Alex has said and actually taken his chance? Or are we doing a Spurs thing and bigging him up too much, whatever else? Spence, your opinion. What is it? Is he actually that good, or is he just all right and just looks good in a team that he's playing shit?
Yeah, he's looking good, isn't he? To be honest, and he has taken his chance. Because let's face it, well, Conte called him a club signing, didn't he? And sent him out on loan immediately. He's come in, and even Ange didn't play him, did he? Until injuries necessitated the fact that he had to play. And since he's been in, he's looked pretty good. He's looked the best of them. But does that make him a good player with the crap system we play? It'd be interesting to see, hopefully, when we get a new manager in and we sort of settle down and play a flat back four or wing backs, whatever the new system's going to be when the new manager gets here, it's going to be more sensible defending, isn't it? Surely. You can't get another one like this.
Well, like you said, the next manager that comes in, I think he's got nearly an easier job as Ange had to win the fans over, where he only had to kick the ball forward. This one just needs to show he knows how to use a team defending and attacking. A basic manager will come in and look good now, basically.
Yeah. Because all he's got to do is like sort of just show in game, like if the other team's getting on top, change something. You know, if we're 2-1 up in the 80th minute, like, you know, just see the game out. You know, instead of going for a third goal and we end up drawing or losing, just see the game out, you know? So it's like you said, if we get a new manager, he's going to have an easy job. Just if he, like, gets us over the line. Well, we're not win anything, obviously.
To win a lot of fans over, basically.
Yeah. Just be
like
more...
Ange did.
Yeah, just be like defensively sound, you know. None of this
just have a clue what he's doing in defense.
Well, yeah, none of this
the thing we was complaining about was the defensive football. Now most of us are sitting here wishing we had some defensive football.
Well, to be honest, it's not one extreme or the other, is it? It's there's a middle ground.
Usually.
Yeah, well, no, but there's a middle ground, isn't there, in between it? Look good going forward, yeah, but have some sort of solidity at the back as well. You know, it's not all of one thing or all of the other. You got to meet in the middle somewhere. You know.
Okay. Then with a comment that's made on here, I mean, we've already spoke about Johnson. I'm not going to go straight into him again, but Brent Johnson, 16 goals, 5 assists. Maddison, 11 goals, 7 assists. Son has 11 goals, 12 assists. And Bergvall gets rewarded with a new contract for 5 goals all season. Now, the question I'll ask with that one, I mean, it's one that I've been very sceptical of. I mean, Bergvall, I think he's took his place. I think he's played all right in games. But for me personally, I think he's a player that seems to do a hell of a lot, look like he does a lot on the pitch, but there's nothing at the end of it. You hardly ever see him get a goal out at the end of it, of trying to take the players on or actually doing it or getting about. Or you never see that direct pass that sets up a goal, hardly ever. But so many people big him up that he's an excellent player for the future, for this and that. I think he's good for the future, but are making it out that he's that good now. I just think he's a player who's very good at looking like he's busy, sort of thing, and busy on the pitch. But what do you actually see at the end of it? It's all good getting the ball and taking a man on left, right, and centre, or doing this and doing that. But if you can't get that final passing or cross or shot on goal or whatever, does that make it irrelevant? I mean, go on, Mike, you can say so.
Yeah, I kind of have a bone to pick with that comment, right? Because like the comment said about Johnson, Son, and Madison's GA, right? Where Son is a
Different
winger.
type of players, isn't it?
Yeah, because like Son is a winger that takes penalties, right? Johnson is a tap-in merchant that we basically create everything for him, right? And Madison is a final third player that also takes every single set piece, right? Because Madison takes our corners and usually takes the free kicks, right? So I think it's kind of harsh to compare their output with Bergvall, where we play Bergvall mostly as like a 6 or an 8. Because like not every player on the pitch has to score goals, and every player on the pitch is not, all of them aren't tasked with scoring goals, right? There are players that will score goals, and there are players that will, keep the ball out of the net or progress the play or, run with the ball and stuff, right? I agree with you that I think he's slightly like overrated by the fan base. It's not slightly, he is overrated by the fan base because there are some fans who are saying he is our Pedri or whatever the fuck, right? Or our Gavi. I see those type of comments, right? Which are bollocks, complete like it's madness to call Bergvall that, because that's also putting unnecessary pressure on him, in my opinion. I don't think we need to do that with him, but I personally think he is quite a solid player. I think we will make a lot of use out of having him in the team. I think for his age, he looks quite mature. He looks quite big. He is physical. He drives with the ball well. I think his passing is kind of good. His dribbling is kind of good. Keep attention to the words I'm using. Kind of good. Okay. Like, I'm not going overboard with it, right? But
no, I get it. I get what you're saying.
But he's 18.
There'll always
18,
be someone
right?
who jumps in and said he's great or something, wouldn't there?
Yeah, but he's 18, right? So if he's comparable to Bentancur or comparable to Bissouma right now, and they are 28 and he's 18, then it kind of looks like he can grow into being a much better player than those two guys, right? Which is why I understand that fans have a soft spot for him or whatever, right? But I don't think that saying that he has only 5 GA is fair, considering the role he plays, right? I think if he was the set piece taker and the number 10 that connects the play in the final third, then you can look into his GA more, right? But comparing him to wingers that take penalties, I'm not sure that's fair, right? That's like Gravenberch for Liverpool. I don't think he has more than like 2 or 3 goals and possibly like 4 assists or something, right? I bet you that his numbers aren't great because he plays number 6/number 8, right? So it's kind of dumb to compare him to Gakpo, who is a final third player that keeps scoring the goals, right? Like Gravenberch's job is not to score the goals; it's to be the defensive linchpin to connect the ball, to connect the play with passes and driving the ball, right? So yeah, that's the way I look at it. By the way, like I know I just jumped on, but I have to jump off. Sorry, we're done.
No, it's fine, man.
The
Good to
girlfriend
see
just
you.
came home. Yeah, it's good to see you, boys. I will be listening in the background. So cheers. Bye-bye.
Take care. See you later.
Take care.
So you two on Bergvall then. How do you two feel about him? Because like I say, I pretty much agree with what Mike just said. Like, he looks good. He looks promising. I don't think his passing's great, but I definitely don't think it's bad. It's just, I do feel he gets talked about a hell of a lot on people saying how good he is. It's just, my main issue is you never see anything you hardly ever see anything at the end of it.
Now, in my opinion,
My problem with it.
he's still young. He's still young.
Obviously.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of developing to do. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you know, I didn't mind the youngsters coming in the summer, but it would have been nice if the youngsters come in as well as established players. You know, Bergvall and Gray are the sort of people, the sort of players you bring in, as well as a couple of people that are going to fit straight in. You know,
Mm.
you know what I mean? I mean, obviously you've got to build a youth system, and so you got people coming off the conveyor belt. But you know, basically in the summer we only bought one first team player, Solanke, and even he, you know, and even he, well, he's a good player, yes. Are we playing to his strengths?
Is
Definitely
he?
not. Definitely not. We're not
Well, we're
using.
definitely not playing to his strengths. I definitely agree with that. We definitely ain't playing him to his strengths. For a 65 million striker and 7 goals, that's disgusting.
It's not good, is it?
No. But
No.
going back to the Bergvall thing again, do you
Well,
think
to
the
be
credit
honest,
he's getting is justified, basically?
well, the rest of the team's been that woeful. He ain't had to do a lot. Look good, is he? To be honest, with the system and whatever. Yeah, he's done all right, but he's still young. You don't know. You know, I mean, it's all right him doing it this year. Let's see it next year as well, and grow and develop. You know,
Yeah, you want to
and
see
the year
progress.
after. He's a work in progress, isn't he? He's like Archie Gray. They're both work in progress. Yeah, they've done all right. I wouldn't say they've been outstanding, but they haven't been terrible. You know, they're somewhere in the middle, which is what you expect for a 17, 18-year-old.
But do you think he's getting too much credit?
Well, I mean, let's face it, he's only young, and I think the credit will do him good, to be honest. Because if we were all slating him, he'd go the other way. You know, he'd be terrible.
Not
You know, when
necessarily,
you're that age.
but then too much credit is not good as well. I don't.
No. I was just thinking about that. No, it's not, because
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Do you think he's getting almost too bigged up?
Yeah, really. Yeah, thinking about it now. Yeah,
Doing what in general we do as Spurs supporters.
yeah.
A lot of people do.
I've
So,
one good game and they're world class.
Just want to say, Tom81, member for 11 months, much appreciated, mate. Thanks a lot. Always see you on here. Great meeting you on the weekend. Dan and Alex, of course.
Yeah.
Good to meet you too, as mate, along with a lot of other people. And Stixie, good to meet you as well, mate, at the protest. Like, we met a lot of people, very different, speaking on the chat or even speaking on camera and that. Alex, with Bergvall, with what I've said about him and that, and with what Mark just said, and Mike said and that, what do you think? Do you think he's actually getting too much credit?
You've obviously been listening to me, Dan, because you said exactly the same thing I've been saying about Bergvall. A busy player. I think everyone's going over the top. He has his moments, as a young player does. That's it. Everyone's going over the top because we're doing absolutely nothing nothing this season. That's it for me. It's fascinating though that he's getting a new contract. They're negotiating a new contract. I wonder how much they're going to get. He's going to get now, because where's that going to stand with the money that we're going to get for a new midfielder? Then I guess, because if he's getting a new contract, I'm guessing that he's going to be wanting to be first team then, in the starting lineup all the time now. So where's this new midfielder we're going to get?
He is at the moment.
Well, that's the point. That's what I'm saying. So if we're going to get, if we're going to keep Bentancur, right, a new contract, if we're going to get Bergvall, that's up. That's 2 spots now, right? Obviously, Sarr's still going to be there. Basuma's apparently going to be leaving, right? We still got Archie Gray, that's supposedly number 6. Where's this? Where's the money for this this defensive midfielder that we've all said that we need a defensive midfielder? Is it going to be Berval? If that is, we're in big trouble. We're in massive trouble. Sorry.
So do you think he's getting too much credit? Do you think?
Like I said, you said the same thing I've been saying. He's been getting so much. He's been getting so much praise, too much praise. But this is our fan base.
I think he's played all right. I don't think he's been nothing spectacular. And considering he is only 18, I think he's been respectable, same as Archie Gray, in the fact that he's not even a centre back, and he done respectable as a centre back. But I don't think either of them have been spectacular.
14th. Or 14th.
Oh, I know that one. But
so there's only so much credit you can give somebody, a team, when the players are coming in, right? And they look okay, cool, but you're 14th. So
hang on a sec, Alex. It's not just Beth cooks the dinner. I cook the dinner as well. I'm a good cook. I enjoy cooking, but Beth does cook a good dinner. Anyway, go on, mate. You were saying?
It was 14th. So for me, there's only so much you can say. Like I said, I just think this is sums up Tottenham fans. You know what I mean? For me, we go over the top about players like Berval, Archie Gray. Berval is the best one for me. He has some good moments. He's a busy player. He's too rash, way too rash. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for me, I do think he's over the top. I mean, you got somebody in your chat, Danny Kyriakou. Big up to him, even though he's deluded. He's deluded about Berval as well, because he keeps on saying that Berval's really good. I'm sorry. I mean, honestly, where are we going with this? Yeah, I mean, he's no better than bloody Dele Alli. Dele Alli did more, right? You can see it. Yeah,
Dele Alli was a different type of player, though.
I know, but I'm just saying that they saw more. You know what I mean? There's more to write home about, really. Let's be honest. You know. But for me, right now, I just think it's over the top. I think it's way over the top. I think next season we'll see whether he goes to another level. You know what I mean? I do think he thinks a lot of highly of himself. I think he thinks, which is all right. That's fine. But you got to step up and make yourself known. And also, he talks too much to the referee. He backs the referee too much. He's too rash, and he will get a red card, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of players do get a red card,
and he hasn't got any leaders to tell him to just shut up. Like, just sit down, get it, just keep doing what you're doing, but you just focus on yourself and stop trying to be the leader of everybody right now.
Isn't that more the young, fiery side of him, where you need that captain with authority on there who will tell him to shut up and step back as such?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem with our team. But we've already know this anyway. I don't want to repeat myself anyway. But this is what I'm saying about Berval, isn't it? You know what I mean? So, you know, but yeah, I know I answered a bit all over the place a little bit, but I kind of said, I'm just started off saying, you've said everything I said, Dan. That's why I was kind of like, you said it all for me, because I've been saying it for quite a while. You've been on shows with me already. So, and I've said it already about Berval. And if you see me on We Are Tottenham TV, sorry to mention the show, but I did a bit, you saw me argue with Danny and what is his name, Ben, right? Big up to them, by the way, every single time. Well, I've said what I've said, similar to what you just said now. So I think next season we'll see what happens. In the next couple of seasons, we'll see what happens. If he's got anything about him, but you know, with our football club at the moment, because I don't think we'll win anything anytime soon. Knowing us, we'll win the Europa League this season. But you know,
that's what I said earlier. It would just make it the most.
Yeah, no, I just said it, isn't it?
The most fucked up season ever, wouldn't it? You know, I mean, because at the end of the day, no one would.
Yeah.
If we go to that Europa, for me, I'm one of the ones who's shallow enough to just turn my back to the season and say, just thank fuck we got some silverware.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm shallow enough to do that.
Just to keep it on the subject of what you're saying, asking me to say, isn't it? But I do. If he's got anything about him, Berval, if he's doing well the next couple of seasons, he'll be out the door. He'll say, "Sorry, bye-bye. I need to go somewhere else." You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah. I think he's played all right. I just think he gets a bit too much credit. You know, and I just don't see anything at the end of what he does at the end of it as such. I mean, you can say there's a couple of players on there that run around like a headless chicken sort of thing and try to get involved in the game and fail epically. Not saying that he fails epically or whatever, but I just think he gets a bit too much credit when we don't really see nothing at the end of what he does, basically. So with the game coming up against Frankfurt, then, I mean, I spoke about it at first and that when I started, and that I think it was the right idea that he left Van der Ven out, because I've already said I don't justify that he put in like 7 or 8 changes when he's got a 20-day difference, but when he's got 4 days difference to the next game, and I think that this Europa game at this moment in time is our most important game of the season now, because whether we finish 17th or 12th is just pretty much neither here nor there to me. It's a terrible season either way. The Europa is the one that could save his career at Spurs. Not that we want it to, but it is the one that could. So, Mark, where do you see us going with Frankfurt? Where do you see this game? What have we got to do?
Well, we got to get a couple of goals, aren't we? You know, a couple of goal lead to take away. You know, that's... If we draw or lose Thursday night, we're in big trouble. Big trouble. Because all them German grounds, they're not the nicest to go to, are they? You know, the home crowd is always fairly rowdy. It's probably not as bad as going to Turkey, but it's getting up there with that.
It's nothing like that. I've been to Munich and I've been to Signal Iduna Park, Dortmund, and I would say Dortmund is probably the best atmosphere I've ever been to at a football ground. But for the other side, I can understand the intimidation on it. But with the German ones, it seems it's not more intimidation in a nasty way, like aggressive.
No, what about a nasty way?
Say that Turkey, but the way they do get behind the team as such is very different to how we do.
Yeah. And
they
so
keep telling us to get behind the team as well.
Yeah. To be honest, though, we just got to win, haven't we? Preferably by a couple of goals.
Well, it does help.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if we draw this game or even lose it, we're in big trouble. Can you see us going away anywhere and winning?
Well, we struggle at the best. We struggle at the best of times, and that.
Yeah, you know.
But so, what do you think we got to do? We got to win this 2-0, 3-1 sort of thing. At least go there with a 2-0, with a 2-goal ratio, basically on them.
We want at least. We need at least a 2-goal cushion. Is that going to be enough with the way this manager plays? Who knows? You know, because
this is where, like what I've said, if we get that 2-0 lead and go there, I don't think we've got to go there and be out and out defence. But with 2-0 lead, I think it would be silly if we went there and just basically went kamikaze like we do. This is where we need to see a bit of stable sort of thing. This is where we need to see a bit of Ange being a manager, a real manager.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex, what do you think of the games coming up in Frankfurt?
I think the home games, the home league is going to be very important for both teams for me. Frankfurt are a very funny team for me right now, looking at their form. They lost
very up and down.
The last game, which I don't think I wasn't really impressed with them, to be honest with you. And they kind of started to deceive, but then they won the last 3 games before then. And then they got through, obviously, their game against Ajax in their tie. But then they do have a lot of chances though, and it depends on whether they take their chances. For me, defensively, I'm not too sure, but I think really to answer your question, I think it's going to be important the home leg for us. And I think Mark's right. I think Mark's right about the fact that, you know, we need to get a couple of goals up, and then it's really who scores the most at home, really, between the two teams. So the home leg for both teams is going to be very, very important in this tie for me. I think if I had a prediction right now, I don't know. Well, I'll maybe wait for that. Are you going to ask me that one, or to wait for that one? Wait for that question.
Why are we all so negative all the time? Such fake fans. We're staying up. Hotspur. Yes, mate. It's good to see you at protests as well. We're staying up. I mean, that is the most shocking thing in the season. If these three teams were below us, wouldn't have been so absolute crap. This season could have got even worse. But do you think we will? Do you think we will deliver on the home game? Basically, do you think we will do what we got to do, or will we just screw it up and get a draw or end up getting beaten?
Flick a
A
coin.
lot of people. That's basically why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Your coin then. What do you think? What does your coin say? I mean, what do you reckon the result will be?
Well, obviously, I hope we win, but it wouldn't surprise me if we lost. You know, it's one of them, isn't it? Because you never know which Tottenham's going to turn up. You know, obviously, I hope we win every game. But if we lost,
obviously.
Yeah, but if we lost, that wouldn't surprise me either. You know, the way this season's gone, it's been one disaster after another.
That's very true.
So, you know, it's just it's just a string of disasters the whole season. So
I can give you my result. I'll give you my result. It's easy. It's easy. Draw.
You think it's going to be a draw?
Score draw. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if we get 1-1.
I personally think that we'll get a 2-1 out of that. And I think it's going to be very, very hard when we get to their place. I say with only a 1-goal lead. But they haven't had the best past couple of months either over there. They've been very, very unstable. I mean, I know you can turn around and say that we have been and everything else. I know all that shit yet. But they haven't been the most stable team either, especially over
that's what I'm saying.
3 months.
That's what I said, Dan. That's why I said, Dan. That's exactly why I said, Dan, that I can't call it, but that's why I think it's going to be a draw. Because the thing is, I think the important thing for Frankfurt is for them to score goals, because that's what I'm done out by in the end. You know what I mean? They couldn't score their chances. If they scored their chances, we would have been in massive trouble, especially in that first leg. You know what I mean? But I do think they've got players that can punish us. I think they've got players that can punish us. And if they have got anything about them, they would have watched our last couple of games. They would have watched our last couple of games, and especially what the Chelsea manager said about us, and lots of managers say about us.
I mean, what Phil Collins has just said here, I can see it going to extra time in the second leg, all square over 2 legs. Then, do you know what? That would not surprise me in the slightest that we get a 2-1 win here and they get a 2-1 win there.
Yeah, because the away goals don't count for now, do they?
No such thing as away goals anymore, is there?
No.
But the way that the thing is that, like I say, it's about who takes their chances. That's why I think Johnson will play tomorrow. To play on Thursday, because at the end of the day, if he can get in the box, you know, 9 times out of 10 right now he's scoring goals, isn't he? At the moment, you know what I mean?
He has. I mean, when it comes to the stats, you can't say that. Big up, lads. Terry Shib, big up to you too, mate. Great to meet you the other day. I had a drink with you in the pub and that at the protest. It goes back to that thing of Johnson. Sorry, he has scored 16 goals this season. I don't rate the player, you knows that, but he has done his job, and he's definitely done a better job than our striker. He's put the balls in the back of the fucking net. So really, for me, he's got to start. And that's one of the first times I've ever said that with Johnson. But who else do we really have who's been, I say, consistent? Who's actually been a consistent
goal scorer? The thing that annoys me, Dan, though, sorry to interrupt you, the thing that annoys me about the whole thing, right, is that the team, like, and what you said that, because this is last chance saloon, right? and make himself like he could go. He could either just walk this job, right? Walk after getting this cup and say, "Yeah, look, I've gave him the trophy, right? I've proved everyone wrong. Bye bye, I'm out of here. Yeah, right." All he needs to do is play Johnson up front with Solanke. That the fact that Johnson is scoring goals, right? Put him in more in the box more, so we don't have to worry about him wide. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then maybe put 3 midfield and then the wing backs. Well, no, well, 2 midfield maybe, and then the wing backs, right? And then you've got maybe 3 up back, just to adapt some way, somehow, right? Just to make it a little bit more stable, right? And then we might say, you know what, give him his due. You know what I mean? But you're not utilising the players that you've got, and that's the thing. This is what kind of annoys me at the moment. I just know what we're going to do, Dan. That's what annoys me at the moment. So it's just down to luck now. You know what I mean? That's why we are so lucky that Champions League teams are not in this type of competition. We are so lucky. To be honest, I don't think anyone deserves to go in Champions League after this one, because for me, Champions League teams should be in this competition to test ourselves against the Champions League teams. Because I think it's made the competition lower quality. I'm not saying that we haven't been that great. We've been great, because we've not been great at all, right? But standard things, though, Stan. Standard things for this manager, right? He's on form, Johnson, right? He scored goals. Put him up front.
Yeah.
Put him up front.
But let's face it, Alex, at Nottingham Forest, he was a secondary striker. He's never been a winger in his life.
Exactly.
That's what a lot of people have said. He's always been that little that tapping merchant sort of thing. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that style of play. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a poacher, fox in the box, whatever they want to call it, and that. But that is what a few have said, and I've said it as well, that I think he would actually be better off playing with 2 up front in an old school Owen Heskey sort of style. So you two agree with that one as well?
Yeah. Would you play Defoe? Would you play Defoe on the wing? No,
obviously not.
Yeah.
So it's like playing Johnson on the wing.
Yeah, Johnson or Sonny. Johnson or Sonny have never been wingers in their life. All right, Johnson was predominantly on the right, Son was predominantly on the left. But, they were never wingers. They're like inside forwards.
Yeah, well, with Johnson, he actually played in the middle with Forest quite a lot as well, from what a lot of Forest fans, from what a couple of Forest fans have told me. I mean, Son, for me, is... he's never ever been a winger. I mean, he's not a great passer of the ball. I don't think he's a great passer of the ball, but he is a world-class finisher, and he was always excellent basically as an inside forward, cutting into the box and getting the goals outside the box, inside the box, and that is what he was world-class at. He was a world-class finisher. I still think he's got the capability on both his feet, but where he's lost half a yard of pace and his head definitely doesn't look with it, but you can say that with pretty much every other player as well. He's had a terrible season just like the rest. I mean, and as a captain, I just do not rate him as captain material, basically. And I think that is definitely one of our biggest problems at the moment, where we do not have an out-and-out captain.
And who did he have up front? Who did he have up front with, Johnson? Chris Wood. He was helping him score the goals.
He's had a very good season.
You know what I mean? Who's that battering ram? You know what I mean? Who's that battering ram right now? When he was up front with it was Chris Wood. He was the one. Or they had somebody else. I've forgot his name now. I forgot his name now. But yeah, they had another player as well that they had up front as well. I think I forgot. I completely got his name. I'm trying to find it on Google right now. But yeah, sorry.
I'm terrible at remembering names, mate.
Well, this is what annoys me.
This
annoys me more than anything else about this manager. Right? He's got his way of playing 4-3-3.
Me, you too, mate. Go on, I'm listening, Mark.
He's got his way of playing 4-3-3, but we haven't got the players for it. instead of adapting and putting the players in their positions where they're comfortable and they're best at, he's got to shoehorn players into his thing, like Johnson and Sonny on the wings. Neither, it's like the old square pegs in round holes thing, you know. I mean, any half sensible manager would realise Sonny's
got-
not a winger. Sonny's not a winger. He never has been. And Nor's Johnson. Just play two up front and have Sonny or Johnson. If you're going to play Solanke, have Son or Johnson either side of him.
But that's just not a tactic that really gets used that much anymore. Playing two up front, there aren't many that actually do it. But I honestly do think he's one that would suit our style, like a 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2, 3-4-2-1.
Yeah, because to be honest,
some would say it's a 5-3, whatever, and that whatever way you want to put it, play with three at the back.
You look at all the you look at all the full backs, wing backs, whatever you want to call them that we got. Udogie and Porro, they were bought for Conte that plays with wing backs. They're brilliant wing backs, but they don't much cop at being a left back and a right back, you know? You know, and so for me, he's just not utilising the strengths of the players he's got. You know, it's mystifying.
And that has been his biggest problem the whole time. He does not play with the cards he has got.
No,
he doesn't.
Look at Elanga, Dan and Mark. Elanga was struggling at Manchester United, yeah, right. He goes Nottingham Forest. Look how he's in great form, right? And wonder why. He's got Tayo Awani, right, as a striker. That he's not great. He ain't great. But what do? Hold up the ball, causes problems, right? Okay. He's got Chris Wood, right? Another player that is playing well at the moment for Nottingham Forest, right? Morgan Gibbs White. Why is he playing well? Because he's got a lot of, you know, he's getting a lot of space. He's finding pockets and stuff like that. But because he's got players to work around him, they're playing to his strengths. You know what I mean? The former Chelsea player, right? The former rejects from Chelsea, right? Kevin Hosea-Odoi, right? He's on forming his life right now at Nottingham Forest. Why is he playing really well? Because he's playing to his strengths.
Exactly.
Right? You know,
it's the same thing I've been saying, Alex, for God knows how long. You go and even get a bloody average team, as long as you play everyone in the right position to their advantages, to what they're good at, the right way, you can actually make, I'm not saying it will definitely do it, but you can actually make a mediocre team actually look very, very good. And if you go and get a team of world-class players, play them all in the wrong positions and all out of sync and whatever way you want to say it, you can make a world-class team look bang fucking average.
Yeah. I've said it on our show.
I've gone on about this man all season.
I've said it on our show and I've said it on many other shows that, like, if you look at the squad of players that we've got, right? Alex. If you look at the squad of players we got, I would say we're probably somewhere between 5th and 7th best. You know? Because we ain't got good a squad as Liverpool, not Man City, not Arsenal, probably not Chelsea. You know, we're somewhere with the players we got and their talents and all that, we're probably in and around Aston Villa, Newcastle, that area. You know, with the squad.
I agree with that. But I think Sava is the one who hits the nail on the head when he was one of the first ones saying it, that if at the start of the season you would have offered us to swap our squad, our first 11 for Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, even Newcastle, Fulham, that pretty much each and every one of us, me included, would have sat here and laughed.
Yeah. And they're all above us.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
We might have picked one or two players out of their team, out of their squad, whatever you can say, but there is no way we would swap this team for all of Newcastle, like the first 11 for Newcastle's first 11, for Fulham's, for Bournemouth, for Nottingham
Yeah.
Forest, for
Yeah.
Fulham. We wouldn't have done it at all. We'd have laughed at it. And
Yeah, of course we
I would have been one of the ones who would have said bollocks to that.
Yeah, of course. Like,
So
but
why are they doing so much better then?
because they
And
got a
it's purely
manager
down to
that
one thing.
it's the manager. It's the manager. He plays with the cards he's got. You know what I
Well,
mean?
the manager doesn't play with the cards he's got. It's because their one plays with the cards he got.
Yeah. That's what I said.
That is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Because
Just making sure.
yeah, they play with the cards they got. You know, you can't just impose a system on a team that you haven't got the players to do it. You know, I mean,
No,
it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
and anyone who plays poker will know that you play with the cards you got, and you can only
Of
bluff it
course.
so many times. There is tactics to it. Anyone who plays it will understand what I'm saying. There is big tactics to playing a card game of poker. And you can bluff your way a long way, and then people suss you out. And then that one bluff that you do, you get absolutely shafted. And you practically lose everything.
Well, to be honest, he's been bluffing the whole time, hasn't he? In my opinion.
To me, I mean, I wouldn't say he's been bluffing the whole time. What I'm saying, well, yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
He's
annoys
basically
me,
got his
Dan-
way, and he's got no other way, and that
Yeah.
is what has totally destroyed him.
What annoys me, right, is there was 2 games we had them back to back. We played Southampton, we beat them 5-0 away. Right, that's because I'm not being disrespectful, but Southampton are crap. Let's face it, they are. We beat them 5-0 away from home. The very next game, we played exactly the same way at home. Who were we playing? Liverpool. What was the score? 6-3.
Mate,
You know,
and we still,
I mean,
and even when we were 5-1 down, we still had bloody fans standing there singing Angie's name. And to me,
yeah, singing his
that's
name, man.
about
No.
says everything. So, right,
No.
mate, I'm going to end it there because I'm hungry. And
Yeah.
once this finishes, I've transferred it. Not that I even bloody need to, but everyone go to Savas one and say Raid from Hotspur Hood. Not that he needs it. Everyone knows he's there anyway. But Mark, when are we going to see you again, mate?
Tomorrow night, mate, we got a show about the protest. I believe Cookie's invited you on, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. If I can get there, I will be there.
Yeah.
Okay,
you're
so
more than
tomorrow
welcome, mate.
night, everyone make sure they watch
8
the
o'clock.
2 marks on the protest. And thanks for everyone for watching. Thanks for all the comments. And we'll be seeing everyone now that I have a decent streaming room and back on my feet properly. We'll be seeing everyone again. So everyone over to Savas one now and say Hotspur Hood Raid, and everyone have a good night. Mike, Mark, Alex, thanks for coming on. Appreciated. See you later, everyone. Have a good night.
I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down.